Hi there, welcome back to Pit Motoring TV. Joining me this week to answer one question: can a hybrid be fun to drive? Yes, we've had a few hybrids on the channel, such as the Honda Jazz, the Jazz Crossstar, the Honda HRV, Toyota's Yaris, Toyota CHR. I'm quite taken with a hybrid, I must admit. I'm not a fan of electric or plug-ins. They're just, I'm a busy family man. Just the thought of having to think about charging it all the time, it puts me off a little bit. I know things are changing and like range is improving, but I also like to drive. I like a car that's engaging and that's fun. Can you get that in a hybrid without spending lots of money, such as the Porsche Taycan, Tesla, things like that? They all cost a lot of money. Audi e-tron GT. Yes, they're fast. Yes, they're fun. They're electric or hybrid. They're fun, but they're a lot of money. Electric vehicles still haven't come down in price yet. But this is why I'm throwing it back 10 or 12 years into the used car market and bringing you this. And what we have here is a 2010 Honda CRZ GT. Now, just looking at it, it just screams out sports car. Honda threw it back to the 80s and 90s, to the original CRX, that fun hatchback coupe, high revving VTEC, amazing fun, a JDM legend. But have they recreated all that in the CRZ? Now, looks wise, they really have. They've smashed it out the park. It's got a really aggressive, low slung, cone-like nose, really nicely styled. I love the lights, the front end, everything about it. I absolutely love it. Alloy wheels, cracking design, the sweeping lines down the side, the wider fenders at the rear and the front. Obviously it's a wider track to help with grip, road holding, steering feel, precision. Honda's engineers really nailed their setup with this. And then towards the rear, it's just looks fantastic. I mean, there is one flaw, and you can tell that from the outside as well, and it's not very great for practicality, and that is the rear view. But when we go inside the car, we'll check that out and you can see for yourself. I know, I can hear you. What's the Honda CRZ got to do with being with a hybrid and being fun to drive? Well, that's where Honda made a little hiccup with this when they brought it out in 2010. Yes, it's a 1.5 litre petrol. It is VTEC, but not the high revving sporty VTEC that we know in the Type Rs and the older CRX. No, it's the VTEC that you find in the Honda Jazz, the efficient VTEC. But they also made it hybrid. So, under the bonnet of the Honda CRZ, we have a 1.5 litre 4-cylinder 16 valve petrol engine. Now, with it being a hybrid, it does have Honda's integrated motor assist. There is a lithium-ion battery mounted low down in the cabin. Obviously helps with that lower centre of gravity. It is coupled to a 6-speed manual, which, if I do remember rightly, the CRZ was the first of its kind, a hybrid manual. Now also with that, we have great fuel economy. It equates 54 miles to the gallon, there or thereabouts. That's what they claimed. But I mean, while I've had it throughout the week, I've averaged between 40 and 45 miles to the gallon. As a hybrid, it works. In 2010, it didn't. Now, as we head more towards hybrids, electric vehicles, what I want to check out is if this works in 2022 and why you should go and buy one. Yeah, I said it. You should go and buy one. If you want a 2-seater coupe, I would say 4, but as you'll see later on in this video, the rear seats are pretty much redundant. But if you want a 2-seater coupe that's efficient, cheap to run, cheap to maintain, with it being Honda, there's no question about its reliability. but just to get out and drive it, to get that feedback, that thrill and excitement that you get just behind the wheel of a car. Doesn't matter about it being fast or quick, because this, to be fair, is not fast. It's not quick, but it's not been made to be powerful. It's the way Honda's engineers have concentrated on the underpinnings, the chassis setup, the suspension setup, everything. They absolutely nailed it. So let's take it out on the road and see what I mean. It's hard to put into words, the Honda CRZ. Before this, I'd never driven one. I've seen them around on the internet, really wanted to drive one. So I used to love the old CRX, and I love the quirky looks, and I like quirky cars, and this definitely has a lot of quirks. Obviously, with it being a hybrid, and what Honda are claiming, a fun hybrid. But if you've ever driven one, you'll probably agree with me. I think they pretty much nailed it. In eco mode, it's the suspension softer, the steering response is a little bit more numb, same with the throttle response. Obviously helps you to get that sort of green eco drive. Stick it in normal, steering sharpened up a little more, throttle response is sharper but not mega sharp. The brakes are good, they're not overly grabby, but they do obviously slow the car down well, and obviously it helps with it in the corners as well. But when you stick it in sport mode, and as you'll see in the POV video that I will be sharing with you all next week, I headed out up to the North Yorkshire moors, up on the old Roman roads and the roads around Gothland and Whitby, and my God, Honda's engineers seriously nailed it. I mean, it flows so well, but I won't spoil that. Come back next week and watch that, and if you aren't already, don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss out on that one. Turn that notification bell on. But as for the comfort in here, the seats in this GT trim are full leather, and they are really nice, soft, supple leather. Like this sort of era Honda, such as the Jazz and the price point, they were quite cheap materials used, but these are nice soft touch plastics. You don't get the nasty stuff till you get lower down. The seats are amazing. They hold you really nicely in the bends. They look good, they're trimmed well. Obviously black leather, white stitching, perfect combo. Everything's so driver focused in here. You've got your controls on either side, everything facing the driver, so everything is facing you, so it's all focused around the driver. The clocks and the steering wheel, absolutely perfect setup. From this year 2010 and onwards, when this was released, these clocks are some of the best that I've seen. They're like a 3D display, but everything's so simple and kept together. Your lights are in the bottom left hand corner of the dash, all kept together. Your charging assist little graph bar above it, and then how much charge you've got in your battery. This does have the Sport Plus button, S Plus. That gives it an extra boost of electrical power. Yes, not turbo power, not supercharged power, electric power, which is great in sport mode, especially when you're going down a back road. It's just so rewarding. You get all the mod cons, air conditioning. You can get the GT nav, and obviously in that you do get a sat nav and a slight infotainment system. But in this, obviously you've got CD player, it's got auxiliary input. You do have a USB, but obviously you can't. I tried that earlier this morning. You cannot play music through the USB, which is a bit of a shame, but never mind. It's just a fantastic little car. But those back seats, I wouldn't even try and get your children in there. I tried getting my 10-year-old in the other day. just to see if she would fit. And she's your typical 10-year-old, long-legged, constantly wants to eat. But even she couldn't get in there. I wouldn't even ask my 6 or my 3-year-old to try and attempt to sit in those rear seats. They're basically talking rear seats. Practicality-wise though, the boot is a decent size. You get 207 litres. Obviously, you do lose a little bit of space because of the battery pack, but it's not too bad. And obviously with the 2 rear seats being redundant, just fold them down and you have over 350, 400 litres of boot space anyway. As for visibility though, I did show this quite a lot in the town segment of the POV drive video. It's very, very restricted out the rear windscreen and the rear quarters. So I'm going to finish this video here. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you may all agree with me that Honda did actually make 10-12 years back a hybrid that is fun to drive. But it's one of them. It's like a nice bottle of whiskey. It's got better with age. I think they obviously made it too soon. Yes, they had the hybrid technology. Yes, they did a good job with it, but at the time, it was the timing. Nobody wanted a fun hybrid, and nobody wanted that sort of hybrid unless you wanted a little Yaris or a little Jazz that tootle round, getting 50-60 miles to gallon back. But in 2022, as we're getting more and more hybrids, they are very expensive. This you can pick up for between £2,000 and £8,000. Yeah, you heard me right, £2,000 and £8,000 on the used market. And Honda's reliability, you know that they're going to last the tale of time. And because they're based on the Honda Jazz and the Honda Insight, parts are relatively cheap and servicing costs are low. So for something that is so fun to drive, so rewarding, it's great to be able to use it as a daily driver, because even round town with the firmer suspension setup, it's still comfortable. But then when you take it out for a run with your friend or your wife or your girlfriend or a little lady friend that you're trying to impress, you get it up on the B roads, back roads, somewhere that's going to be a little bit more fun, and it really comes to life and it really sings. You don't need a lot of power to have fun in this thing. It's the feedback that it gives you. It's the thrill of the drive, so to speak. It's just a fantastic car. But it's exciting for the channel. This was my first ever press car, and it's Honda's press car from their heritage fleet. I mean, this thing is immaculate. It's done 18,000 miles. So big, massive, massive thank you to Honda UK for sending me their prized possession in this CRZ. I've made some epic content, so go check me out on social media. You'll be able to see the photos I've taken, TikToks, Reels, you name it, I've done it. So until next time, as always, see there.